Cross that with a D long to a C, and then an RE long. RE is a long string shape by definition, to a D. That red for the, see, here's our R long with the cutout option. The two chords are E and D, of course. From the fifth, we've got the E here. E shaped. This is the fifth triad, 2-5-7, and then 2-5-7 to a D shaped triad up here. Okay, so we've got RE going to a D pentatonic starting on the 6th. Or we have the RE long pentatonic, 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, 5, 6. Now we're over here on the 7 right here. What are we going to do? We have two options. We can cut out of this E string shape and go to this houseboat here. So we can go 7, 2, 3, 5, 6, or we can continue on with the long. RE is by definition a long pattern. So anytime you see root 2, 3, okay, in this case it would be 5, 6, 7 because we're on the 5th substitution. This is shape substitution. Then we would take that unless it takes us out of the cage. So from this 7 here, we can also go and finish up with the D pent. This is like the Marlboro song one. The D pentatonic's like the Marlboro song. And to the 6 and the 7. So we analyzed. So we got root RE going to D pentatonic. RE has a cutout, or we can just continue on with that long pattern, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. The cutout will give us total longs. It's better to exploit these open strings here for us. Or the long pattern can always play into the next cage shape. So E would go to D in the word. We have to press on with the guitar here. I'm sure you want to learn this stuff, you guys. So again, we have the new chart, and it's 501. I just call it long modal cages, and the cage short tri-pents. These are these guys: A, D, E, D, G, A, C, G, C, D. All right, this is just 1, 4, 5. The 5th of G is C. The 5th of C is D. The 5th of D, the 5th of D is A. The 4th of D is G. Okay, but when you get to the C cage, the 4th of the C shape is the E shape. Okay, starting from the C shape, it's the E shape and the G shape. Alright, now contained in that C very much is the A minor, its relative. Contained in the E is the D minor. Notice how it's contained in that E, and I kind of keep the bar there and just go. We want to get that open D, and then the G, and kind of keep that G, and we just, of course you have to change fingers, but so you see how the minor is contained in the pentatonic of the major. Okay, so let's continue on. So these are new here, these short labels here, E, A, C in the E box. Again, there's the long and the short patterns begin with the Locrian note, okay, the 7th, and the same thing, the long, but not with the Lydian. It's with the Phrygian, the long and the short patterns, because in the C, let's look at this. We don't really need a long pattern for the C, so we can call it C long only because we can go 3, 5, 6 root 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2, 3. We can scoot on over to the next caged letter, which is the A shape. So it's C long to the A shape. Then we go to E, R, E, D. Now, in this case, we're going to be looking for root 4, 6 on the E right there. Okay, so we're going to take it up. Moves the pattern up. Here's our root 4, 6. Now the pattern is shown in white, so it's easy. Okay. We've got E pentatonic. All right, and then we've got, and this is in the C box still, so this is completely playable. And then we've got RE, where we would start here. Now it's saying 4, 5, 6, but it's really root 2, 3 shaped. Okay, so this is the root 2, 3 shape here. So that's the shape of that. When we're doing the RE string shape substitution in the Lydian box, I know I'm in Lydian because I've got gray down here. We're not going to play the cutout because the cutout would be this houseboat here. We're not going to play that because there's no reason to. These notes are the same. Root and root here are both fingered notes. This one might even be more difficult and less desirable to play. Okay, so we just take it right up into that D. Okay, we have Ionian here with its 3 shapes, and we have the Mixolydian with its 3 shapes here. 5A G to D long C. The 5A is a long pattern anyway. It's going to play into the G, the next. So A goes to G in the word cage. We're going to the right. It's going to play into the right. We're always playing to the right with the long patterns. That's why they're there, because, and of course if you move a long pattern down to the fret nut, you're going to change its key. Lowest playable note here is C. C is the 5th of F. We'd be playing. We want to make the lowest playable note E. Let's say this is your fret nut here. Here's E, the real deal E. Or they're all E. All E's. Okay. Then E is the 5th of. E is the 5th of its 4th. A. So E is the 5th of A. So the key is A here. Okay. So the second, so the root that is on the second string is an A. Okay. So that's how that works. So let's look at, well, I'm saying you can move these cages down wherever you want to play them. I like to play 5 from the 5. So I'm in the key of C. Now we're not going to mess with its tonality because the only thing we can do is hit that dominant. That's its tonality. So we have 5A G. Then we're going to move the pattern up to the 4th of that. We got D long to a C. Now how are we going to play that? See, that's where it gets into, all right, how are we going to do this? Here's the D shape, but we've capoed here, so we can't just play our D shape that we memorized for the 4th, okay, which would be 5, 6, root 2, 4, 5, 6, root 2, 4, 5, 6, because the 4th pentatonic is 4, 5, 6, root 2, okay? It's not root 2, 3, 5, 6. So when we go to the 3rd, we have RED. That means the pattern came down. Here's RE, 5, 6, 7, the first 3 in the 5th pentatonic. So it's 5, 6, 7, 2, 3. Okay, and that shape is RE. So this is why it's important to learn the shapes. The only shape you have to learn, believe it or not, folks, the Ionian shape. You just have to know how to move it up, move it down. That's why I show the 5th underneath it. Okay, and then we know what's underneath the fifth, another short, okay? So we know it's underneath the fifth, we know it's above the fifth, we know it's underneath the root, we know what's above it. You just learn this pattern here, 5, 6, root 2, 3, 5, 6, root 2, 3, 5, and you also have to put it through the tuning warp. Okay? There's your Marlboro song. This, I believe, concludes the second half of the 500 501 charts. Again, in 501 we have, I just reposted these are the chord shapes, and we did a lot of that, and because of my wrist, maybe we're not going to do that. We're not going to go around, but these are the chord shapes that are resident in the modal, okay, or in the key of A, it would be all right. The key of G, it would be okay. Those are your modals. Now, don't forget that in chart 501 we have the Ionian to the Lydian, the fourth, and the Ionian one, and then to the Mixolydian fifth. So these things are all really just the ED here to the fourth AG shape to the fifth half C shape. Let's just look at that. It's important to look at that half C shape because that's the only half major shape that we're going to see in the whole thing, in the whole Ionian fretboard modals. We've got the E shape, E or a D shape. Okay, then we have the D shape. Now it's fourth. We're going to go A shape to a G shape. G shaped F. And then we're going to go the half C shape to an A shape. Fifth. Or a G. G7. Okay? Hey, it's Andy Free Guitar Chart Videos. If you like these videos, like and subscribe. And we'll see you next time. Follow these methods and you're going to be great. I know you can do it. I know you can.